We have a calendar for spot XRP ETF launches. As you can see, November 13th, today this video will be coming out. They are launching Canary Capital. Canary Funds is going to be the first ETF launched. This is a groundbreaking moment for XRP holders. A lot of people still don't quite understand why this ETF craze is going to be a big deal. So I wanted to take a second before we get into the calendars and all of the crazy news and updates around all of this and what to expect. I wanted to just really quickly explain why ETFs are going to be groundbreaking for XRP holders and what is this really going to do as far as opening this market up to institutional investors. I think retail can only take something too far, and you really need to, that 60, 70 trillion dollars in the stock market, that now can go into XRP. And let me just explain how that can happen. So let's just really quickly go through this. A spot XRP ETF is a regulated investment fund traded on traditional stock exchanges that gives investors direct exposure to price movements of XRP, the native cryptocurrency of the XRP ledger. Unlike futures-based ETFs, a spot XRP ETF actually holds XRP tokens in institutional-grade custody on behalf of its shareholders, meaning that the price of the ETF is closely tracks the real-time market value of XRP itself. Now, here's how spot XRP ETFs work. The fund holds XRP tokens in secure, audited cold storage managed by professional custodies. Usually you see like Coinbase custody, one of those solutions. They have all of these institutions already connected into it, and they are the ones who end up holding these assets. I'm sure there's a lot of other companies. I was just giving you an example off the top of my head. Investors buy shares of the ETF on public exchanges like the NASDAQ or the New York Stock Exchange, and they can buy any stock or bond fund. The value of each share reflects the net assets value, also known as NAV, which is tied directly to the spot price of XRP to the broader market after deducting management fees. So just like when you go to trade on Coinbase or Uphold, you get charged a fee. These exchanges and brokerages have similar fees, okay? Large trading firms, authorized participants, can create or redeem ETF shares in exchange for transferring XRP in and out of the fund, keeping the ETF price closely tied to the market value of XRP through arbitrage. And so the key benefits here, why this is such an important time, such an important moment for XRP holders, is this provides exposure to XRP without the need for investors to manage digital wallets, private keys, or crypto exchange accounts. So what is the number one most complained about thing about crypto? It's too complicated. Just being able to buy an asset, you have to go create an account, you have to do all of these steps. And then once you get the crypto, then you got to keep it safe. Then you need a cold wallet, your seed phrase, and you need to do all of these things. What if you could just use your brokerage account and buy access to these products through a 1, 2, 3 click step process? That is what we're talking about here. It really does open up the ability to get access to XRP to the entire world through these markets. And so when you look globally, the global stock market's about $130 trillion. Here in the United States, I think it's somewhere about 60 trillion, depending on how good or bad the market is doing. But you can imagine now all of a sudden, $60 trillion has the ability to be invested into XRP. Now, I'm not saying the entire stock market is going to be invested, but I'm just trying to help you understand the scale of the amount of money that we're talking about here. Obviously, if XRP could get 0.25% or 0.5%, we would all be extremely rich, but that's not really what I'm trying to get at here. I'm just trying to show you how much value can actually go into these products. Obviously, if you need financial advice, go talk with a financial advisor. The ETF operates under traditional security regulations, offering greater transparency, regulatory oversight, and potentially better tax reporting than self-custody. So this does open up institutions the ability to have greater transparency with the markets and people understand what is what. And this is what regulators like the SEC and the CFTC are looking for. Now, this is going to be a security, right? It's on the stock market, it's a security. So the SEC has the jurisdiction here. It opens participation in XRP price movements for a broader audience, including both retail and institutional investors who may not be comfortable with holding crypto directly. So this is really what's exciting. All right. And then Nate Garassi says, looks like it's game on for the first 1933 Act spot XRP ETF Canary Capital will be the first. They did a great job about getting all of their products out, everything that they needed to on time, and they will be rewarded for it. You do see Stephen McClurg, the CEO of Canary Capital, often out here talk about what he believes is going to happen. I've seen him kind of change over time, but some of his projections were a few $1 billion within the first 30 days into a spot product for XRP product. If that were to happen, that could be a game changer, because that would be a whole lot. I think in the first week and a half, 2 weeks that we've seen in the Solana ETFs, I think we saw about 370 million. So obviously, if we're in the billions really quickly, we would outperform Solana. And I think that would do really well for the market. And so you have Franklin Templeton between November 14th and 18th. You have Bitwise November 19th and 20th. November 20th and 21st is CoinShares and 21 shares. And then late November is Grayscale and Wisdom Tree. Wall Street's $1.5 trillion in assets under management is coming for XRP. The cheapest fee here, guys, is Bitwise at 0.34%. Obviously, if you need help understanding all this, pick up the phone and talk with your financial advisor, right? And here are the tickers. So don't be confused with random things that you see here. Make sure that you are researching these individual products that you're interested in, and make sure you understand everything before you take that leap here. But these are going to be the tickers that are going to be listed on the DTCC and other brokerages to buy these. So here is the Canary Capital one. If you wanted to get in Canary Capital's XRPC, and as you can see, the rest of them are here. Bitwise got XRP, which is pretty baller for Bitwise. Great job on that. All right. And then this is kind of what it looks like for, what all these tickers look like and how they're all set up. So just wanted to give you that additional information. All right, let's jump into this. How much XRP backs each share? Spot crypto ETFs like Bitcoin, Ethereum, or XRP are physically backed, meaning each share entitles the owner to an economic interest in a fixed amount of the underlying asset. In this case, XRP. For comparable ETFs, the sponsor typically sets an initial share creation unit. Like examples, 1 share equals 1, 5, or 10 XRP. And then they will adjust the price and as for the investor demand. US filings for Canary Capital product haven't given a finalized per share XRP ratio yet. However, the price for each share will be closely reflect to the real-time value of XRP minus the management fees. And it says, what if XRP's price doubles or triples? What happens to the share? For an unleveraged spot XRP ETF like Canary's, the value of each ETF share would track with the spot price of XRP almost one to one, aside from the fees. If the current ETF share represents 1 XRP, which means 1 share is equal to 1 XRP, if the spot price of XRP doubles, then the share price would double. So obviously, if 1 share represents more XRP, then it obviously wouldn't double. You'd have to understand the percentage, but I'm just trying to give you the base here so you can kind of fully understand this. So it talks about ETF share value times spot XRP price and annual fees. So if 1 share equals 1 XRP and XRP rises from 240 to 480, the share would move from 240 to 480 minus the fees. Spot price change in ETF value. When the spot price of XRP rises, the ETF value per share goes up identically, assuming the ETF remains fully backed with no discount premium or no leverage. If the ETF is rebalanced, represent, let's say 2 XRP per share, the ETF value is always this right here, right? ETF share value equals 2 XRP times XRP spot price. And that's how you could figure all of this out, guys. I hope that really helped you understand. I know there's a lot of questions in the comment section about understanding ETFs. I just wanted to spend the time, and hopefully this does help you, okay? And then of course, we are looking Grayscale Trust towards the end of the month here. It looks like XRP per share 19.4. So that's a lot. That's a lot represented in each one of those shares. All right, we saw Monica Long here. Great to welcome UK's Economic Secretary to the Treasury, Lucy Rigby, to Ripple's Singapore office to discuss how digital assets can boost UK's competitiveness and growth. We talk a lot about this on this channel, okay? I have seen a lot of crypto companies come and go in the past. Very few companies I have seen that have access to government officials in every single country that they are in, right? They have Bragg Barleyhouse has been to the White House 4 times this year. He's invited to all kinds of state dinners and these types of things where he's shoulder to shoulder with these people. How many times have we seen Scott Bessent, at the Downing Street? And now you have Monica Long meeting with the UK's Economic Secretary Treasury. The access that Ripple has to regulators and world leaders is astounding. I haven't seen many companies in the blockchain space that could basically compete with Ripple on this level. It really does matter who you know and what connections those people have. So the meeting shown in the post between Ripple's President Monica Long and UK's Economic Secretary to the Treasury, Lucy Rigby, at Singapore office, according to the official news sources, the purpose was to discuss how digital assets and blockchain innovation, can help boost UK's competitiveness for economic growth. This aligns with UK's ambitions to remain a global financial hub by integrating cutting-edge financial technology into the digital assets and mainstream financial ecosystem. So they're going to talk with Ripple about making sure UK stays competitive and having the right technology that they need to do so. Anybody else making some connections here? All right. Key discussion topics likely included using digital assets to enhance UK's financial infrastructure. Oh, okay. Policies and regulations supporting fintech and digital innovation, how Ripple solutions like cross-border payments and custody can align with UK goals for faster and more efficient finance. Now, we've seen in the past where the current Prime Minister of Canada was working at the Bank of England, and they were doing some proof of concept and tests around the XRP ledger. We saw that a lot of people have been talking about that over the years, but we really didn't see too much come from that. We're starting to see maybe that there's a little bit more that they didn't tell us, right? Which we can understand. And so I wanted to also look at what other connections that we could see and find between Ripple and the UK. And so here are those connections. Ripple is registered with the UK's Financial Conduct Authority and actively participates in policy discussions, having provided input to the Treasury and parliamentary committees. All right. What other blockchain infrastructure company is doing this? I'll ask you. It operates a substantial presence in the UK and Europe with a regional hub in London. Ripple partners with European banks like BBVA and works with global fintech leaders to deliver blockchain-based payments in Great British pounds and in the euro. The company is seen as an enterprise-focused, regulation-friendly player, which appeals to UK regulators seeking to modernize financial services. And the UK government has recently prioritized digital asset innovation, including regulatory frameworks for stablecoins, tokenization pilots, and clear rules for the road for crypto in 2026. And here is Ripple's user Societe Generale Custody Euro CV has teamed up with Ripple user Lemonway ODL Treasury to help European companies launch business-to-business marketplaces, Western Europe and UK in view. Ripple XRP not mentioned. So just wanted to touch base with that. I did see this from Paul Barron. The illusion of innovation. JP Morgan's coined fundamental limitations. JP Morgan's entry into the blockchain-based payments deserves recognition, but calling JP Morgan innovative misses a critical point. It's essential a digital wrapper around the same centralized banking infrastructure that has frustrated businesses for decades. Despite using blockchain technology, JP Morgan remains and has always been a closed permission system controlled by a single bank and institution. So people are saying that this is going, revolutionizing the future, that everybody else should just pack up their bags and go home. JP Morgan's got it covered, but really JP Morgan just created a tokenized version of the same thing that they already have, which was a private system. How does this private system interconnect with everything else? And that is still yet to be seen. And then it looks like Visa begins stablecoin payouts. Users can pay with both fiat instantly with USDC. On the same day, JP Morgan Chase and Coinbase link up for instant settlement using JP Morgan Coin. The stablecoin era has begun, and we are seeing a lot of that. It's interesting, though, in the past, we have seen Visa and MasterCard getting to bidding wars with each other over companies that use Ripple's technology. And we have seen Visa, I think it was like Currency Cloud, Earthport. There's probably a few other ones. I do apologize. It's hard to remember all of these things at the same time, but Visa has spent hundreds of millions of dollars on different companies that involve Ripple's technology. So you start to wonder, how much will Visa start to use Ripple's technology and how much will MasterCard? And I think it'd be really interesting to see these two compete for the quickest, lowest, most efficient payments and fees. And that's what everybody is waiting for. All right, guys, I know this was a little bit longer of a video, but I hope it helps educate you on the excitement in the days to come. I hope you're learning. I hope you're growing. I will see you next time. I'm Crypto Sensei. Aloha.